Welcome back to the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast. My question to you this week is: are you distracted? Nah, probably a better question is: how distracted are you? Uh, I am recording this podcast a little later than I normally do in my recording cycle because I've allowed some distractions to kind of creep in little by little. And I thought following up uh, and sharing my personal journey with you, empowering you of things I've learned and are applying in my life to help you along your journey uh, this week. How do we escape distraction? How do we minimize them to live with true presence and focus? For those of you that are watching this episode of the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast, you'll notice I'm wearing my full focus certified planner pro because I've been using the certified excuse me, I should say the full focus planner and I jumped in as a certified pro because I know I need help eliminating distraction, getting clearer day after day, week after week, month after month, and so on. The reality is we all face distractions at some point, and they can really inhibit our growth. And so in this episode, I'm gonna share a little story about journey and a specific movie you might have heard of. It's an older one, but I happened to just watch it in for Valentine's Day. Um, and how distraction and things from the outside can really be a thief. Think about this as coming and stealing our energy, stealing time away from us, even taking us away from our purpose. Why are we there, right? In a world of constant notifications, competing priorities, um, how do we show up as that intelligent human leader, right? To bring full presence and intentionality. So we're going to dive into this episode here and help you become more equipped. What I try to do always on the podcast is to give you some nuggets and help you along your way. And so we're going to use the movie Somewhere in Time. If you've never seen this movie, I believe it came out in 1980, so it's been a while, but it's kind of a classic movie, romantic movie. That's why I kind of pulled it into Valentine's Day where I was watching with my wife. But one of the elements of the movie, is it because it says somewhere in time, is this idea of where distraction or things can pull us out of the moment. So when we have all these things that are competing, right? We can be in a reactionary state, not a state of being proactive, planning, preparing. And I've used lots of different systems. I'm really system agnostic in that find the one that works best for you. But like I said, I got certified with Full Focus Planner. I also use the Wake Up Warrior method that has helped me in planning my impossible game, my monthly missions, my weekly fires, and so forth, where I can break this down to be more actionable. Because you're going to be able to accomplish so much more in a shortened period of time when you do this, when you live this way. I can tell you that for a fact. When I didn't live this way, it was definitely more chaotic. It's helped gotten better. I'm one that deals with ADHD. Just I know that that's part of who I am, regardless of all the other things that are going on out there in our modern world. But here's the point I want to make is that in this particular movie, there is a metaphor here for how one moment of distraction can derail everything when we allow that to come into our lives. We're not being proactive. So in this movie, if spoiler alert, I'm going to give you a little something away here. So if you haven't seen this movie, but it's still worth seeing. Um, there's this whole point where this man wants to go back in time. In this case, the actor Christopher Reeve, and he wants to transcend time through deep focus and belief. And so he is actually able to do this in the movie. However, there's a moment in which a single object, in this case a penny, derails him and breaks the spell. He's all talking about something and on the moment, and he pulls this penny out, and it literally pulls him out of the moment. It pulls him out of everything that he was focused in and being there. And how does this mirror our own life? I want you to think about this. When we're committed to a goal, we're committed to a vision, we're committed to a relationship, what distraction pulls us out back into the chaos where we don't know which way is up, our emotions are tossed to and fro, and we have that difficulty getting back into that flow state once we're distracted. How many of you guys have like, oh, I checked my phone, I was doing something and then I got distracted, I got a phone call, somebody knocked at the door, my you know, I spilled something. There's always distractions. It's not that we're going to get rid of all of them, but the reality is as a leader, we have to be able to overcome or adjust for when these distractions come at us. It's not just in business, but this is obviously all aspects of our life. I know for one, I can let distractions prevent me from getting the work I need to get done, actually doing the work, and I allow myself, and I'm out of integrity because I allow these quote unquote things to pop up, these little fires, and they're not really the most important thing, and they distract me and they pull me away. Um, and what happens is you're not going to make it to your true goal, your true destination, because you're allowing all these little things to kind of eat away at you getting to that ideal place. So think about this. It's that moment of distraction that derails you or pulls you back into chaos. Are you even recognizing that? Number one. Um, and then number two, if you do recognize it, how are you going to get back? Or how are we going to at least minimize those distractions when they do come? Now, one way you can do this is through subtraction. What are you going to stop doing? Now, this is hard in our world. And for me, especially for those of you that can relate as a collector, I'm a big Star Wars fan and I love, just the stories of things. And so I've had to and continue, honestly, have to work through letting things go. Shedding those things that don't serve me anymore. They might have served me at it for a time, um, but it's getting clearer on letting go of those things. Literally was just before recording this podcast, letting go of some more books, going through some papers, you know, processing and purging, and sometimes not even letting those things come in the door. Minimalism, for example, isn't necessarily about less per se. It's just about more clarity and impact. When you can see clearly, you can know where you want to go. I, as a biologist, for example, have had to walk many transects out in the big wilderness, and I'd have to what I call shoot a bearing, look out in the distance, be clear on that. Now, if I get distracted and I get off, and then I can look at my compass or I look at my GPS unit, and oh my goodness, I've deviated because I've allowed other things to kind of come in or distract me. I see a bird over here or whatnot. Something is come off me from where I need to go, and so I need to get back into realignment. Okay. So think about and use this approach, the subtractive approach, instead of managing more and more and more. See what you can pull, what can you remove from your life. And you remember, you can add it back in later. This was a reminder to me this week, actually. I was talking with a group of men, and we talked about this in an indirect way. But what can we do to simplify our commitments, simplify our digital consumption? That might mean, hey, I'm going to stop following some accounts. Maybe, hopefully, not steward your business, but but nonetheless, um, find out how you can reduce having to make so many decisions. If you can set some things up so they're just happening regularly, you're not always have to making decisions. You're not getting decision fatigue, right? Think about high performing athletes. If they're really trying to achieve and hit the goal, get the goal, right? Get the gold, make the move. They have to spend time every day, or a musician focusing and doing that same thing over and over. Sometimes it's boring, honestly, but the boring work that you do daily is going to be incremental and it's going to grow on itself. And that's where we just do these things routine. Think about your food. If you don't have to think about it, right? Making a meal every day, you planned it. So you've removed some decision fatigue. You've got the preset meals, or you've got the time that you've got these things all set up, and you don't have to worry about all these other things. Do I have to come in? Do I have to get this ingredient or whatnot? Think about how you can do that for your body. Think about how you can do that for your relationship. For me, um, when I got out of sync with dating life, dating is to me, whether you're married or still single and looking to find a perfect mate, you always should be dating. But here, think about it. Like, are you making that a regular thing? So it's like every Friday night. Now, some people say, I want to make it unique and some things varied. I'll grant you that, but you can still create a space or a way of reducing some of the chaos and some of the outside thing of saying, look, if we just even pick the day of the week that we're going to do something in the time, now you've reduced a big portion of like, what are we going? Or excuse me, what time are we leaving? You already decided the date, you decided the time where you're blocking this out. You might even say, hey, look, we're going to be doing, you know, a certain type of food or certain type of activity within that time frame. Just think about how you can, and then you can reduce other things that you have to consider there. Like, hey, we're already doing this. This is what's happening. Um, that will help you be fully present and engaged. So I want to really encourage you to look for ways that you can subtract, remove things. Most likely, all of us have this. I know I do. And it's a ruthless thing. We got to keep rooting out those things that come in. They're like weeds that start to come in and populate. This is one thing I struggled with at times, and I was really challenged at my previous company to what we call like meeting creep. Like meetings just kept coming in. Meetings get the meeting for this, meeting for that. And I'm one that actually really like meetings and following up with people and how do I support them. But I had to realize, you know what? How can I pull this back? How can I say, can I do this in an email or on a message or set this up on a more streamlined way? Now, sometimes we would strip it back maybe too far and then we would realize, oh, you know what? We really need to add it back. But that's the beauty of it. You can add back. Doesn't mean you can't ever, you know, but just try this subtractive approach. And in the movie, what's fascinating to me in the movie, The Somewhere in Time, is he is trying to go back and in every little thing. He literally puts the clothes on, he puts the right money on. He had this tape running to help reinforce into his brain like how to think, and he actually had to hide the tape recorder so he wouldn't see it to help him get into this place. So he kind of removed everything else in the room. Literally, he took the TV and put it in a closet. He was putting stripping all these things away so that he could be really clear with focus to get where he wanted to go in the movie, and it worked. And think about where we can strip away those things to get there by eliminating these distractions. So, what is pulling you out of focus right now? I want you to kind of go through your mind with me here and just kind of inventory for yourself. Many of you, I know I've been just deluged with uh, emails. Now, emails were amazing when they first came around, and now we've got other forms of communication outside of emails, right? Could be, is it on your phone? Are you getting lots of notifications? What apps? Everything wants to turn a notification on. Everything wants to let you know, hey, something is new, right? They're trying to grab your attention. What about your priorities? Are you really clear on what's most important? Um, when I do my full focus planning, I look and I consider, and this has been really important, and you'll get off track if you don't have a real big goal, like a very hairy, audacious goal, BHAG, something that's really you cannot achieve in the next week or month. It's going to take some time. Do you have one of those, or more than one, in multiple domains of your life? Like to look at the four domains of my body, my business, my physical, that my being, and my balance, my relationships. But look at your priorities and how are you planning for those bigger events, those milestones? Because you can't get to those bigger events and milestones without regular habits, and you're going to break those down. And there's different ways you can break it down. But I personally like to break it down in a uh, at least quarterly, and then ideally monthly, and of course weekly and daily. Right? So you're looking at that. One area is how do you live? What's the things in your life? Like I said, it could be digital clutter, it could be physical clutter, right? How are you creating? Are you creating space with like lots of things to do? Is your calendar completely full, or do you have space to think, to breathe? Right? That's super important. What about negative, possibly relationships or the way you're choosing to consume food or drink, right? Those could be distractions. Or perhaps it's spending things because you're just like, oh, I'm gonna get distracted because I can just kind of minute it makes me feel better in the moment, but it doesn't actually get me where I want to be. So use the minimalist framework here, meaning defining what truly matters to you. What is your version of somewhere? What is it that you're trying to get to? Where do you want to go? Are you really clear with that? And if you're not clear, that's okay. In that, that's why you have a coach. That's why you have somebody, a mentor. That's why you have somebody coming along asking you questions to help you get clear on what does it matter to you? What do you really mean? Where do you want to go? Because they're going to help guide you. Think about that. That's part of my role at Steward Your Business is to be a coach to help guide and ask you the questions. What is that life that you want? Um, and again, look at ways that you're subtracting the distractions and creating intentional systems that reinforce your focus to get you there. So, how do we do some practical steps here to get you and reclaim focus and presence? Own your own time. Look at your calendar, set your boundaries around meetings or technology, and you don't have to make excuses for that. Just say this is important. I've got to set time out every week on my calendar. Every day, I put focus time. I'm creating and carving out space intentionally. You may have to adjust that from week to week or day to day. Look at your environment, both physical and mental. What's going on? You've heard me talk about the stack tool, getting things out of my head, getting it out written. That's really important. Clear our mind. I love the getting things done method. The David Allen is another way of clearing things out and getting into a system. Um, for many of you, physical things in your world. I know I struggle with digital clutter and also paper clutter. So it's a process of like, how do I remove some of that? Right? What are your rituals? How you start the day, how you end the day? That's one thing I really like about the full focus planner. We look at those things, for example, so that we can make sure that we can set our intentions both in the morning and in the evening. Um, and then make sure you're getting obviously rest and remember, the power of saying no is superpower is truly powerful. I just commented on this on my LinkedIn account about the power of saying no in the realm of project management. But when we say yes to everything, we're going to allow distractions to come in. So there is a purpose in a no. I'm hitting you with you a lot here on the podcast in a short period of time. I know that my hope and my aim of this Intelligent Human Leadership podcast coming week after week is to number one, equip you, is to help you know that you're not alone, and that here's a place for you. I have places both in group coaching, one-on-one, I work with businesses, we do retreats. There's a whole variety of tools and resources I pull out to figure out and meet you where you're at. This is just one of the podcasts is one of them. But where I want you to at least consider what is your somewhere in time vision I mentioned earlier? Where is it that you want to go? And what are the distractions? Can you name them? Can you identify those distractions that are pulling you away, bringing you into chaos, pulling you out of that moment? In that movie, he found his true love. He found the woman, the love of his life, the woman that he just adored, that wanted to be connected with, and he was reunited with her somewhere in time. He was able to be reconnected and was rebuilding and or having that amazing relationship, and it was pulled, it was broken. And so I want you to have that amazing relationship. I want you to have that amazing career in that place with your children, wherever you might be, and taking care of yourself physically, right? For 1 week, remove a major distraction and see what happens. Maybe it's uninstalling an app. Maybe it's um, you know, turning off the TV, common one, right? Maybe it's taking out your meetings, saying, I'm not going to have any meetings or make my meetings very minimal. Just for a week, just see what comes. And I want you to share your experience here. Either comment on this is on YouTube or LinkedIn where we broadcast this, or your favorite podcast platform. You can find Steward Your Business on any platform. Just look that up or just type in my name, David Carr. And my encouragement to you is that being fully present is a true gift. When we're living in our purpose, when we're clear, we're knowing, we're living what we're called to do, then we can have deep focus and alignment and do what truly matters. The cost of distraction is losing yourself in the reality you never intended. We want you to have a better life. I do. I'm rooting for you. And it's about you being present enough to live it and get out of these distractions. So I'm so grateful for you guys to come back week after week and be a part of this. If this is really powerful and you're taking something from this today, again, I would welcome you to leave a review and a comment and encourage others. Share this with others because the goal is to create community and connection and that we can all go further together than we can apart. I'm learning with you and applying these things together. And that is why I created Steward Your Business and come back with you week after week here on the Intelligent Leadership Podcast. I appreciate you guys being with me once again. Be well, take care, eliminate those distractions, and come back next week as we continue our journey on the Intelligent Human Leadership Podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody.